do feel like you play a lot of badminton, but you're not actually getting any better? Well, the reason might be that you're stuck at the bottom of the badminton improvement pyramid. Most players will start at the bottom, and the more serious you are about improving, the higher up the pyramid you need to climb.
So we're going to take you through each level and how you can use it to improve your game without adding loads of extra hours on court. And one of these is what helped us go from world number 100 to 28. So starting at the bottom of the pyramid, which is level 4. If you're only playing matches right now, you need to actually practice.
Yeah, because you will improve a bit by playing matches, especially when you're newer to badminton. But eventually, just playing games isn't enough. So if you're a beginner or intermediate player, this is where you'll probably be starting on the pyramid. It can be as simple as doing 5 minutes as part of your warm-up, but the key is to actually do some practice.
Yeah, this means you can not only focus on something without the worry of losing the point, but most importantly, you'll get way more reps in. For example, in one 10-minute game we watched earlier, I played 6 drop shots, whereas in 10 minutes of practice, I could hit 100 drop shots. Now, if you've not done loads of practice before, you might be thinking, how do I practice? So we've made a free PDF of some simple practices that you can do, along with demonstrations of each. Just click the top link in the description below and we'll send it to you.
We know the biggest challenge with this level of the pyramid is actually getting the time and court space to practice. So for those practices, all you need is a half court, and you can even do them for just 5 minutes before your match. But of course, the more you do, the more you'll benefit, as long as it has a purpose. This is where a lot of players go wrong. They do drills, but they don't really know why they're doing them, and this leads to them not improving. So if you're practicing but not improving, then you need to move up to the next level of the pyramid, and that is to have a purpose.
As soon as you cross those white lines, you want to have a purpose or goal in mind. Whether that's improving your lift length, recovering faster after your smash, or being mega consistent. Up to a certain point, it's good for most people to get more reps in. But then you also need to make sure you have a purpose. If we compare Jenny without a purpose...
I think I'm just going to work on my drops today.
to Jenny with a purpose...
Well, in my last match, I hit 3 drops in the net, so I'm going to work on that today.
Jenny with a purpose is going to improve so much faster because she knows why she's doing the practice and she's also doing it with intensity.
Yeah, and you also need to have a purpose in some of your matches too. This is a great way to improve without doing additional training, whether that's trying a different shot, faster movement, or using new tactics. We would recommend that you choose a slightly less important match to try these in though. Here, there's less pressure if it goes wrong, and you can therefore develop some consistency before the challenge of doing it in a high pressure match.
Yeah, this is how I developed my favourite shot, which is now called the Scramble Greg thanks to a subscriber. But I didn't just suddenly try it for the first time in a big competition and hope it worked. I practiced it loads first, and it went wrong a lot, but each time I got a better feel for when it worked and when it didn't, and how long I could hold it for. Then when I eventually used it in a bigger match, I had confidence in it. And when you start using a new shot, a new movement pattern, or a new tactic, it probably won't work perfectly straight away. You will make mistakes and lose a few rallies that you'd normally win, but don't get frustrated by this.
So we want to remind you to enjoy this process and treat it like a game trying to level up. Often you will get worse before you get better. The old hockey stick graph.
So you might have been practicing and playing with a purpose, but still feel like you've reached a plateau. This is where you need to move to the next level up in the pyramid to reduce your expectations.
This level is high up the pyramid because it's for the people playing more competitively, it's more mental, and it's harder to master. And this is something that we struggled with for a while.
Yeah, in 2022, we were ranked around 60 in the world, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to reach the top 32. This was so that we could get into the highest tier of tournaments. During this period, we were always going onto court thinking about the result and what it would do for our ranking points. But this meant we were tense, overanalyzed every point we lost, and because of this had a string of pretty bad performances. But everything changed after we lost in the semi-finals of the Dutch Open. We decided that we were going to stop chasing ranking points and that the most important thing was that we enjoyed it. And by February 2023, we'd won 3 tournaments in 3 months.
We've spoken to so many players who say their best performances came when they lowered their expectations. Maybe they were playing a stronger pair and they didn't expect to win, or maybe they were slightly injured. So stop hyperfixating on the end result, and you might just overcome that plateau you're having.
Now, before we get onto the top level of the pyramid, and the one that changed our trajectory, and we're sure will for you too, we have a bonus tip to make sure that you keep improving. And this is to do something different.
So, to name a few things, you can play with different people, ideally better people. You can get a coach, learn new tactics, try different training routines, assuming you're doing some already. You can start doing Badminton-Specific Gym Programmes, badminton-insight.com, or focus on your footwork, check out the Footwork Accelerator, badminton-insight.com, or you can learn a new shot or refine your technique of another shot. The list goes on.
And don't be scared to do something different. Comfort is great for confidence, but it's not always great for improvement. As we like to say, comfort is the enemy of progress.
Yeah, we've always tried doing something different if we felt like we weren't improving. Because if you keep doing the same things, you'll eventually get the same results. It's like if you only ever lift the same weights for the same amount of reps with the same technique, you're not going to get any stronger.
Everything we mentioned there either requires practice, having a purpose, or utilising the last stage of the badminton improvement pyramid, reflection. This is a step in the pyramid that helped us go from 108 to 28 in the world in 7 months. Better players don't just play, train and move on. They reflect on what happened, learn from it and feed that back into the bottom of the pyramid. However, a lot of players finish a match and say, that was rubbish. But if you ask them why they lost, they won't really know.
Yeah, this is why reflection is key. And there's a few different ways to reflect. The first is to watch your match back. This is often pretty uncomfortable to do and will reveal some things you didn't realise in the match, whether that's technically, tactically, physically or mentally. It could be that your footwork was slow into your round the head corner, or that you lifted too much, or maybe there was a point in the match where you got tired or lost focus. Often how you felt after a match is very different when you watch it back. And if you can't video yourself, you can reflect with your partner or anyone that was watching.
Yeah, as we mentioned, reflecting was one of the biggest things that improved our game. When we were around 100 in the world, we started watching every match back and analysed it in detail. And we didn't just watch our own games either. We analysed loads of pairs that were better than us, seeing what they were doing and trying to learn from them and copy them.
And this is why reflection sits at the top of the pyramid. Because once you reflect properly, you know what to practice next. And this turns the pyramid into a cycle, not just something you climb once. And that is how you keep constantly improving instead of staying stuck.
Now, whilst we've kind of suggested that the better you are, the higher up the pyramid you go, this isn't a strict system. Some beginners might want to video themselves, for example, and that's great.
So which level of the pyramid do you think you're currently missing? Are you not doing enough practice? Are your matches and training lacking a purpose? Are you putting too much pressure on yourself? Or do you need to reflect more after your matches? Let us know in the comments below. And hopefully this pyramid gives you a system to follow so you can stop feeling stuck and finally take your badminton to that next level.
For the practice PDF, weights programs or Footwork Accelerator, then check out the description below. And of course, smash the subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll see you on another video very soon.